On today's episode, we have the lovely Marissa Roper, who's the CEO and owner of M. Riley Marketing. It's a digital marketing consultancy founded in 2023 to help businesses find their sparkle and grow their online presence. Marissa brings over 7 years of hands-on experience in digital marketing with deep expertise in paid media, SEO, social media, content, and brand strategy. She's based in Scottsdale, Arizona, and she partners closely with a select roster of clients. Welcome to the episode, Marissa.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Fantastic. And what I'm keen to know, because the podcast is all about showcasing leaders in the marketing and advertising space, is how you came to starting this business in 2023.
Yeah. So kind of as you mentioned, I worked in digital marketing agencies for about 5 years. Prior to that, I was working in-house at Intel on their marketing team. So it was very different, kind of same client, same brand all the time, very B2B, like dry tech marketing. And I kind of realized that the corporate world wasn't for me. And so I kind of jumped headfirst into digital marketing agencies and didn't look back. Really loved my time there. I got a ton of hands-on experience, just working with a ton of different clients in a bunch of different industries and avenues. And so it was no day was ever boring because we always had clients that needed different things and had different goals. And so it was great experience. I started getting a little burnt out towards the end there. Back in 2023, the agency I was at, we were one of the biggest agencies in Phoenix. We had a lot of clients, very, high pace. I just started noticing that there was a lot of disconnect with the clients, with other people on the team, just because our agency was getting so big. And I stopped feeling like we were fully fulfilling on like what the client's needs were. And that's when I really started realizing that I wanted to go a different direction. I once was told to service my clients less versus cutting down my list of clients. And so that's just not a business model I agree with. And so that's around the same time I was starting to get referrals from past coworkers and just people that I knew like in the industry. A couple just kind of fell into my lap. So I was doing the whole burning the candle at both ends for a while. I was doing, work on the side and then also my 9 to 5 agency job, which was a lot. And I realized that I was enjoying the work I was doing for these one-off clients that fell in my lap a lot more than the work I was doing in an agency. And kind of started realizing that, okay, maybe I can do this, like maybe I can actually go out on my own. And at first I thought I was just going to do freelance. And then kind of from there, I was like, no, I want to actually build something. I don't want to just be a freelancer that someone hires off of Upwork. I want to build something from the ground up. Went live with my business full time about 6 months later. And a big factor of that was I actually did a retreat in Bali during that time with a bunch of other entrepreneurs. I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. I'm the first one in my family to ever do this. So I'd never really been exposed to that world. And so going on that trip was really the deciding factor. I was like, okay, all these other people here are in some way, shape, or form an entrepreneur. If they can do it, so can I. And so that was kind of the big game changer for me.
I mean, you've highlighted so many things there that I just want to bring up. I mean, firstly, working in a huge agency and the pressures that come with that. And I think it's interesting when you're building an agency and you're at the early the stages of that, and you'll probably have your ambitions on where you want to go to. But then there's these agencies that have been here a very long time, and you highlight some of the things there that the quality of the client was not of the work for the client was not that important that you were being told. And it was just
Mhm.
like, oh, we need to just keep them. And it didn't align with your values. And I think that's a lot that springs true to a lot of people that are working for businesses, not just agencies, where they just
Mhm.
don't, it doesn't align with them, and they're wondering, how do I get out of the rat race, right?
Yeah, well, and the big problem too is a lot of places have been around for so long. They're so set in stone with their processes that even when they're outdated and don't work, they refuse to change them. And so I've always been a kind of a person where if something doesn't make sense, I will tell them. And some managers really loved me for it, and some managers saw me as someone who was creating problems. And so I think that was a big factor too. Is if you're not willing to innovate and change your processes because you're so set in your ways, that's going to hinder you later. We'd end up wasting all this time and resources doing things that in a roundabout way that didn't really work anymore when there were more streamlined ways to be doing it.
Yeah. And how did you juggle that? Because I think unless you're born from a family that are wealthy and got a lot of money to kind of back you to do this entrepreneurial journey, most people have to do it on the side, right? So how were you able to juggle working full time and also launching this business?
It was a lot, definitely a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of willpower and a lot of caffeine. Really have to be passionate if you're gonna do it. Otherwise, there's so many reasons just not to. And so a lot of it was just kind of the willpower of like, okay, I have this vision, I have this dream. And also too, all the clients I work with now and the clients that even kickstarted my business are all people that I've built such good professional relationships with that it gets to a point where like I don't want to let them down, and so a lot of it was wanting to make sure that their business succeeds. And so that's kind of what fueled the fire in the beginning and still does now. But now I'm at a point where I could never go back to working for someone and then do it on the side because I have a lot more work that's being done now that I've been around for almost 2 years.
That's great. And I think that just shows how you can just transition from working for somebody into your own venture and then go full time on it. So, what led you to Bali and what happened in Bali that gave you that moment to go, right, let's go?
Yeah. So it was a girl that I had followed on Instagram for a long time. She travels a lot. She's a life coach. She is an entrepreneur. I think she's currently building her own like luxury like home build in Bali currently. So she's a jack of all trades, and I've been following her for years, just from a suggested Instagram page like a couple years ago in college. And I did she was doing coaching calls for like having abundant life and manifestation and all that. I started listening to a lot of podcasts around that time and was really kind of getting into that realm. And again, it was something I'd never really had gotten into before. And so I did a call with her. And then after that, we just kind of did an intro call and like talked. And she kind of like helped me see like where I was stuck in ways that I hadn't really seen before. And then from there, she does this annual entrepreneurial trip. So everyone that goes are from all over the world. I think when I went, there was, I met people from Australia, I met people from Dubai, people from Canada. And so it was really cool to see a bunch of young people come together that are so ambitious. I had never been in a room like that before. And so it's just like that the energy in the room is magic. And so it really exposed me to that, like I said, like to that world, and like made me realize, okay, like they all had to start somewhere, and it's intimidating. But there are even days where I still look at my business and there's so many things I still want to do with it. And you kind of have to take it day by day, step by step, or else it gets overwhelming. And so you kind of have to get over that fear and that imposter syndrome and really just be like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And if I fail, I fail. If I mess up, I mess up. I mean, you learn from all of that. So that was, yeah, definitely really a changing point. And then I came back to my desk job at an agency and sat down at my desk and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I here? Like, I couldn't undo like the experiences I had there. So my mindset was just totally different.
Yeah, you kind of checked out from that particular journey and you were like, no, this is the path that I need to go on now. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So let's talk about your business and the services that you offer because you've got a lot of experience and things are kind of evolving with AI and video. So
Hmm.
what would you say are your core offerings that you provide to your clients?
Yeah. So I try to be a one-stop shop, and I've had a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you need to focus on, one kind of marketing, one kind of service." And I'm just like, I don't want to. And that was an issue that I had working at an agency. I was pigeonholed into one role. I come from a ads background. I ran paid ads. That was pretty much my bread and butter that I did when I was in an agency. It's still a passion of mine. I love getting in the weeds with the strategy in ads, but I come from a journalism background. So I come from a communications background. I learned know how to shoot and edit video footage. And so I know how to do a lot more than just that. I love like website design and UX. I love, social media. I'm very creative. And so I didn't like being pigeonholed into one role. And I also noticed that a lot of clients, especially our larger clients, they would have one agency doing this service and one agency doing this service, and we didn't talk to each other. And so the overall online strategy didn't fully align unless they had a really good internal marketing person that could help navigate that communication. And so that's another reason why I try to be a one-stop shop. I want to be able to own the entire brand of the client and make sure that we're hitting every single channel that we need to be hitting, and that may differ depending on their industry. And so anything I can't do or my team can't do, I will find someone to contract out or partner with so that we can keep that strategy all in one place. And that being said, I guess kind of long-winded answer, the services we have the most clients for are typically people come to us for social media management, content creation, paid ads, SEO, website management and builds, and some email marketing. We can do some blog content too. But those are kind of the key ones that we've been helping a lot of clients with lately.
That's great. So you've talked to us about all the services. So what trends are you currently seeing at the moment?
A big one on the social side is brand storytelling and the way that people are posting online and the content that's doing well online. They very much have moved away from the very staged, generic, like overall branding. As far as, moving away from the generic, overall brand static imagery, posed shots, like a lot of that isn't really resonating with people anymore. I think, in a world where we're so connected by online, but because of online we also feel very disconnected because there's not as much face-to-face interaction. I think people really crave authenticity. And so one thing that I really stress to my clients at Run Social with me is just being able to tell your brand story, not only just about your mission and what you do as a brand and why you're important and why you bring value, but also what sets you apart, who's on the back end, who's the person actually running the business. Like, people love family owned businesses. People are moving to wanting to support small businesses over big corporations, and that's just kind of the shift that we've made in today's age. And so being able to portray that, and also video reels have the shift, just video in general has been huge. So learning how to, whether you're talking in front of the camera yourself or packaging it in a way that's creative, that content's going to perform a lot more. You're going to get a lot more eyeballs on it than you would be just a static image or a graphic. Those are a couple of things I've noticed just across Instagram and the algorithms and everything like that.
Yeah, I've heard that around, especially around the authenticity with a lot of AI going on and automation. It's how do you kind of like break through that and look genuine?
Yeah, one thing I noticed because I had some clients that don't have a lot of creative content, and if you're here in Arizona, we do offer a package where we'll come out and shoot content for you and package it for you. It's an add-on to the social package, but it gets tricky when we're doing clients that are out of the state, and if they don't have someone on hand that knows how to shoot content or has someone that can shoot professionally, it can be really hard to figure out what we can post on social. And again, just creating graphics in Canva over and over and over again, people are going to start glazing over. And so we first were using AI quite a bit to create videos from giving AI a prompt, and then it would basically pull stock video and put it into like a reel. We even still started noticing then that engagement just wasn't as high on those kind of videos, even if they were super informational or super short and to the point. We still just weren't getting the kind of traction that we wanted. And so one thing that I've been trying to push some of my clients to do is getting in front of the camera themselves, even like something like this where you're talking to, whether you're talking to someone on a podcast, talking to your followers, and then we'll add a layer of AI on top of that, whether that be, just some general transitions and text underneath, and then, putting in some video clips to kind of break up the person talking. That tends to get just a lot more traction because you're getting that human engagement to the user versus just like almost like commercial type, video.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you made there. And you talked about AI a little bit, so let's dig in deeper on that. So, how do you use AI in your business, and then what are the expectations from a client?
Yeah. I think AI, actually, I was just talking to on a podcast about this also about AI, and just people think it's going to replace people. People think that it's going to, and in some jobs it may, but I know in marketing, it'll never fully replace a marketer. There are certain aspects of marketing that AI is a computer. It can't replicate. I like to tell my clients that marketing is basically getting someone online to feel feel something about your brand, because they're going to remember how you made them feel, and then they're going to remember your brand. And the issue with having AI fully automate your entire marketing workflow is that it can't always detect, and it can't always put forward the human touch and that human feeling that you need for a strong marketing message. And so I like to tell people that AI is a tool, it's an asset. It has helped me a ton. It streamlines, workflows. It helps get stuff done quicker, but it only gets you about 70% of the way there. You still need someone to take that strategy over the finish line and add that human touch for it to be fully effective. So a lot of the ways I use, AI in my business right now is we use it very much as like an idea generation machine when it comes to brand messaging or social posts. But even unless you really really tweak it and get the brand guide in there perfectly, you usually will have to make some tweaks to whatever it puts out, but it gives you a starting point to run with. Also, I've used AI to automate some of our workflows when it comes to like onboarding, invoicing, stuff like that, and some lead generation. Those are the main things I've been using it for so far.
Okay, you've mentioned a lot of things there which I utilize AI for also. I think, getting a lot of the tasks off your plate that are quite day to day and but also kind
Operational
of
admin, yeah.
operational. Yeah,
Mhm.
those ideas as well are quite good, I think, especially if you want to come up with like titles or bullet points about certain things. I think it's quite good for that. And it is advancing, and I'm sure it'll advance more in the marketing space as well. So, obviously, AI is working well for you at the moment in relation to the operational sides and admin sides. So, what else is working well for your business right now?
I've had a lot of growth so far in growing my team. It's been very challenging to grow my team. Now that I'm finally getting to the point where I am, I'm very happy. But and part of it was something I had to overcome personally. I've always been very much a perfectionist. I'm a type A person in the way that I work. And so I kind of always had the mentality of like, if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. And that mentality will kill me if I continue to have it. And so the one big goal I had for 2025 was to learn to delegate, which was a very hard thing for me to do. But I learned that I'm bottlenecking myself if I don't. And so finding the right people and getting the right people in place was definitely a big goal of mine this year. And I'm finally getting to that point where I have a internal team of 3 currently. And actually my first employee, she just celebrated her 1-year anniversary with me. And so it's just really cool to see how well we work together now. But it takes some time. It takes some trial and error. They learn your work style. I learn their work style. You have to kind of figure out what kind of processes you want in place, and those take some time to build. And so I think that's been really a goal of mine that I'm happy about, is we're finally getting to a point where we're scaling and we're able to start taking on more clients. For a while, I was getting too many clients and too much work to be able to know what to do with, and that isn't a bad problem, but it's a bottleneck problem. And so now we're at a point where we're like, okay, well now we need more clients. Now we're like able to go out and like grow our book of business and grow our skill set just with on the team. So it's been super exciting.
And as you're growing, and also we're in a digital world, what kind of tools and how are you collaborating with your team? Because I've got a team that's remote. I'm sure you've got a team that is
Mhm.
remote. So what are some tips and tools that you use to help you stay connected?
Yeah. I definitely think you need some sort of project management tool. I was using Teamwork because that's just kind of what I was always using in an agency, but it gets expensive really quickly. And so I actually just switched to an open source model. And we're now using Coda, which involves a lot more heavy lifting on the setup, but it's a lot more personalized. You can personalize it a lot more. And so once we get all the heavy lifting done on the setup, it's great and it integrates with a lot of stuff. I use Zapier a lot to help set up automations across different platforms, so that we can automate some of the onboarding stuff, the invoicing, following up on leads, stuff like that. I use Go High Level as a lead generation tool. I feel like a lot of people use HubSpot for a really long time, and again, it gets expensive very quickly. So Go High Level, I feel like is very up and coming, and it's kind of like taken the industry by storm, and it's very user friendly. So I've been using that as well. I'm trying to think what other tools have been like lifesavers. AI note taking tools have been so important. Basically, I just actually upgraded. I've been using Read AI, and we just upgraded to have the video automatically record and then automatically send out to my whole team, so that if they need to refer back to anything, they can just go in and check if they have any questions on deliverables or like anything like that. And it helps a lot with making sure that they are being held accountable and getting the things done that they need to.
One of the tools I use actually is called Motion. I don't know if you've heard of that, Motion AI. Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
we use it for task management, project management, and as long as you sync the calendar to it, it'll also, when you jump on a call, Motion AI will join it, and it will basically listen to everybody and send the direct notes for that particular person directly to that person, so they know exactly what they need to do, the actions that they need to take.
The other tool too that I actually just invested in was an AI inbox cleaner, because my inbox was becoming unruly and my admin girl sorts through it, but even she was having a hard time like keeping up with it. A lot of just because I get a lot of people from LinkedIn in my inbox. There's always someone trying to sell you something, especially when you have owner on your profile. If it's something that could serve me, I always try to like hear them out and see, if it could be helpful in some way. But it's just getting to be just a lot. And she was spending all of her hours in my inbox when she could be doing other things. And so we just invested in a AI inbox cleaner. And so basically you can set parameters on it where it can automatically sort things for you. And it's been a game changer.
Oh wow! What are the next 6 to 12 months look like for you?
Yeah. So like I said, I have a team of 3 right now. I definitely want to try to expand it to 5 in the new year. There are still a couple hats that I'm wearing that I'd like to take off my head and assign to someone else. And so I think every business owner knows that, in the beginning you wear all the hats, and then you slowly, as you invest in your business, you slowly get to take them off, and you can start delegating the things that you're either not as good at or you don't want to do, and then keep the things that you're really passionate about. Is kind of my motto. So excited to expand my team. I'm definitely looking. We've never had more than 5 clients at a time. I would definitely like to look at expanding to a couple more clients. I never want to be a super big agency. I think it kind of is a given after what I was just talking about. I want to stay boutique. I want to stay very high touch, white glove service. And so, and the rule of thumb is, depending on the size of the clients, we probably won't ever get more than 10 at a time. But I'd love to see if we could double the amount of clients we have from this past year and double the revenue, and also upsell some of our current clients. I have, some larger clients, but I also have noticed there is a kind of an untapped market of small to medium sized businesses that are big enough where they have some money for marketing, but they, don't have a huge budget. And so you have to get a lot more creative with the marketing dollars because they're a lot more limited. But the marketing ends up paying off more because they're the ones that need it the most. And so I'd love to look at some of the clients I have that are kind of in that bucket right now, looking at growing them and upselling them to more services. We have all these ideas. It's just a matter of getting them to that point.
Once you have a customer and you're doing great things, I think it's always a lot easier to upsell to them because you've already built that trust. So if you can if you can gain that knowledge and add something that they are looking for, I think it's always the best solution. I'm
Yeah.
intrigued to know what are those hats that you're trying to get off your head that you don't want to keep on your head.
I still do a little bit of my own SEO, and I actually just hired a SEO girl, so she's actually about to take that over. I have still been kind of doing a lot of the finances of the business. I'm not a numbers person. I'm very much a creative, strategic person, and I'm lucky. My boyfriend's dad actually he is a financial planner and he does taxes, so he's been able to help me out quite a bit, especially on the tax side. There were so many things that you can write off in your business. I had no idea, never being a business owner before. But I want someone to kind of like almost like a bookkeeper. I'm looking to potentially hire, just so I know, that I'm charging enough for my services, what my overhead is. Like I've heard in podcasts that you should know your numbers in your business, and if you don't, your business is going to suffer. And just being in the weeds on the numbers and all of that is not something I enjoy.
Yeah, you come across as the creative kind of leader within this business, and the numbers is it's not the creative; it's the complete
No.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
you
not the
need
fun stuff.
the numbers are important though, because that's what's gonna keep your
Yeah,
business afloat. So yeah, so I'm
yeah.
definitely looking to do that. My admin girl, who she's been with me the longest, she does all my invoicing and my expensing and the project management stuff, like all the kind of internal admin stuff. And so she helps out a little bit with it, but I'd rather have her take on more client communication. That's the other thing I want to try to get off my plate more. I want to be more focused on selling and getting new clients in the door. And I still plan to have all my clients meet with me on my calls because I like to have a weekly touch point with all of them. But as far as just like the email communication, following up on things that we need, I want to try passing that off as well. Some of that communication.
It's always that kind of that growth stage, isn't it? And where you have to start positioning yourself to help your business grow. I can completely relate to that. I've been there as well. So I really enjoyed our conversation, Marissa. It'd be really great for the audience to know where to find you online, your LinkedIn website. Maybe you could share that information with us now.
Yeah. So you can find me. My website is www.mrellymarketing.com. My socials are all mrellymarketing. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So feel free to shoot me a follow. And I also we're currently working on launching a event planning service as well. So one of the industries that we really focus on is event marketing. That's actually one of the clients that kickstarted my business was a referral for an event company in Texas, and I ended up, working with them for 3 years, and they were a great client, and it's something I'm really passionate about. And so we're looking at potentially rolling in a service of where we market the event for you, and we also help you put it together. So I haven't launched the official services yet, but I plan to in 2026. So I'm excited for that.
Thank you very much for your time, Marissa. This has been the Sheer Growth Podcast, a really engaging episode with Marissa and M. Riley Marketing. If you've enjoyed the episode, please give us a like, share, and subscribe. See you on the next one.